morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at some important rulings and things you need to know about some of these new cards from Super Electric Breaker, what is going to be Surging Sparks over here. But I need to start with a rather important note. These are not official rulings. I am not reporting on official rulings that have been made. I am telling you guys what we're going to see about the cards, how the cards are going to work based on the Japanese wording. But I'm not trying to pretend these are official rulings. When the official FAQ comes out in a few weeks' time, I will obviously share that with you. That's the kind of thing I do. I've started covering the Japanese and English FAQs now because that makes the most sense. But for now, this is not an official FAQ, but I've had a lot of questions, and I've seen a lot of people posting a lot of questions about these cards. So we're going to be focusing mostly on Pikachu and Togekiss here, and asking questions about how exactly they work. So starting off then with Pikachu, it's not the attack. The attack is 300, discard all energy from this Pokemon. Yeah, that's easy. No! It's not that easy. There is a ruling we need to know about this because I have actually seen a question about this. Let's do this very quickly. What if you've got a Sparkling Crystal, the new Ace spec from Stellar Crown, attached to Pikachu, such that you can use the attack for 2 energy? Well, you can't discard 3 energy. Can you still use this attack? Yeah, you can. You just discard 2 energy. You can only discard 2 energy. So you discard 2 energy. It's very, very, very much along the same lines as the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon ruling I showed you previously. That said, 3 energy, 100 damage. You may shuffle 3 energy attached to this Pokemon into your deck, but it was officially ruled that if you had a Sparkling Crystal and a double turbo energy, you could indeed use this attack for just a double turbo. You only shuffle 2 energy back because there is 2. You do the attack and then discard the energy with Pikachu. You do not discard the energy in order to do the attack. If it said discard 3 energy, if you do, this attack does 300 damage, then you would have to discard 3. As it is, you do the attack, 300 damage. You then go to discard 3 energy. Oh, you can't just discard as much as you can. You're golden. But I have seen a couple people posting that question, so there we go. More importantly, the ability. And the ability says, if this Pokemon has full HP and is KO'd or would be KO'd by damage from an opponent's attack, this Pokemon's HP becomes 10 damage instead. You basically can't get one hit KO'd. Your opponent's got to do a little bit of setup damage and then KO you. Obviously, if they do a little bit of setup damage, let's say for argument's sake they use a Dusclops to put 5 damage counters on, and then they KO you all in the same turn, yeah, obviously that's going to work. Because you haven't got full HP at that stage, that is not controversial. So, obviously, you can use something like that, soften them up, and then KO, jobs are good 'un. The second it doesn't have full HP, you can go ahead and KO it, jobs are good 'un. If it's just, let's say it's Raging Bolt, and they just do a huge amount of damage, you will go down to 10 HP remaining, you will not be KO'd. What if you are poisoned? And, you know, we've got ways to do this nowadays. We've got, for instance, Brute Bonnet, which will, if it's got an Ancient Boost Energy Capsule, poison both active Pokemon. Yeah, that's a great way around this. So you hit, and I'm not saying you would play it with Raging Bolt. I don't think that's a very sensible combination. It's just an example to show you how the ability works. But you do a bunch of damage with Raging Bolt. Ah, nuts, I didn't actually get the KO. Oh, wait, my friend, the other ancient Pokemon, Brute Bonnet, has poisoned you. So you do a bunch of damage. Pikachu goes down to 10 HP remaining. That resolves the attack, and then Pokemon Checkup happens between turns, so that there's no controversy here at all. The poison comes in between turns, the ability is resolved before the end of the turn, Pikachu would be KO'd. What about something like a Roaring Moon, for instance? That doesn't KO with damage. Calamity Storm doesn't even do enough. Frenzied Gouging, knock out your opponent's active Pokemon, and then if you did, this does 200 to itself. What happens here? Well, if this didn't KO, you actually wouldn't take the 200 damage because it's if you get the KO, you take 200. But that's all a moot point anyway. The KO works. So you do obviously then take the damage. And the reason is Pikachu reads very clearly, if this Pokemon would be KO'd by damage from an attack, it is not KO'd and gets 10 HP instead. But this isn't KO'd by damage from an attack. No, ladies and gentlemen. Things that get automatic KOs like Roaring Moon still work. Things that get the KO from things like Poison would still work. It is very much, if it's got full HP and you deal damage, the damage is reduced down to 190 or whatever it would take. Let's say Pikachu's got a Bravery Charm on, then you would end up doing 240 damage to bring it down to 10 HP remaining. Hey, what if Pikachu's got a Bravery Charm attached, and then you do a bunch of damage, but it goes down to 10 HP remaining, and then you remove the Bravery Charm? What happens then? Yeah, Pikachu's KO'd. Because Pokemon don't have damage remaining. Pokemon have damage on them. So this ability, if you got Bravery Charm, you got 250 HP. This ability would then leave you with 10 HP remaining, which means you would have to have 240 damage on you. And then as soon as Bravery Charm gets removed, you've got 240 damage on you. You've only got 200 HP. You would then be immediately KO'd. Job's a good un. Not saying that's the best way to deal with Pikachu. Not saying Pikachu's going to have Bravery Charm on. And honestly, I'm probably not playing Bravery Charm with Pikachu because I'm worried about that particular interaction. So that's one card I've seen a bunch of questions about. The other one is Togekiss. Now here's the thing. Togekiss is a stage 2. So maybe we would be thinking it would see a bit less play, except for the fact that it's got one of the most ridiculous abilities in the entire game. You see, the ability says that when your opponent's active Pokemon is KO'd during your turn, flip a coin. If heads, take one more prize card for that KO. This ability does not stack. Now, first things first, when it says it doesn't stack, it means it doesn't stack. If you've got 2, 3, 4 Togekiss on the field, however many, if you take a KO, one ability activates, you flip a coin. If heads, you take an extra prize. You do not get to flip once for each Togekiss until you get a heads and then take an extra prize. That would be cool. But the ability doesn't stack, and the ability is flip a coin. If heads, take an extra prize. Flipping more than once would mean the ability is stacking, and that is very much not what the case is here. It's also very much worth noting that it does not say it needs to be active. It just says if this Pokemon is in play. So it doesn't matter whether it's on the bench or active or whatever. You still get to flip with Togekiss. Nor does it matter how the active Pokemon gets knocked out. It just says if the active Pokemon is KO'd. You flip a coin. So, if it's KO'd by damage from an attack, think Raging Bolt, you flip a coin. If it's KO'd automatically, think Roaring Moon, you flip a coin. If it's KO'd by damage counters in the middle of your turn, think Dusclops, you flip a coin. Now remember, if Dusclops KOs a bench Pokemon, that doesn't work. Togekiss specifically only works with the active Pokemon, that is specifically stated on the card. But you can KO the active Pokemon with Dusclops, for instance, use the ability, take an extra prize. What if you've already KO'd the active Pokemon, let's say with Dusclops, and then a new active Pokemon comes up, and you're probably playing Charizard in this deck too, and then you get a KO with Charizard? Can you use the ability again to take another extra prize? Yes. When it says the ability doesn't stack, it means you can only use one of these abilities when you take a KO. But nowhere in the text of this ability does it say once per turn, nor does it say you can only use one of these abilities per turn. It says this ability does not stack. So what that means is, if you can take 2 separate KOs in one turn, both on the active Pokemon with stuff like Dusclops in the format, that is absolutely possible, then yes, you can absolutely flip for both of them and potentially take an extra prize for each of the KOs. And actually, while we're here, it is worth noting, this is a mandatory effect. The way it's worded is, you flip a coin, not you may flip a coin, which of course could be kind of interesting. Let's say for argument's sake you're lining up a Briar play. Let's face it, if you want to take extra prizes, enough to play Togekiss, you're probably playing Briar. But Briar says you have to play it when your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining, and then if you get a KO, you take an extra prize. Well, here, if you've got 3 prize cards remaining, and you accidentally take 2, you go down to 1 prize card remaining. Okay, fine, it doesn't actually make much of a difference, because if you skip Briar, you're down to your last prize, take a KO and you win, but I'm just saying it would stop effects like Briar working. Yes, I'm aware it probably is never actually going to be relevant for Briar itself. That's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the point. So there we go, these 2 cards. I've seen so many questions floating around, both directed to me and asked to other people that I've seen about these 2 cards that people want answers to, so I figured, you know what? Let's just go and have a bit of a gander. But we have now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these 2 cards. Tell me if you've got any other questions to go along with this. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Smash Cafe, who seem like very lovely people. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.